On this edition of Motorcycle Experience, our Lightning Bolt Project bike gets a new set of foot pegs. While at the midway point, our 25th anniversary Goldwing gets the thumbs up from some viewers like you. Then in Wyoming, we ride in the shadow of the Devil's Tower, before tackling some gravel roads and getting fitted for a new lid. As Motovan presents Motorcycle Experience. Hello and welcome to Motorcycle Experience, the voice of motorcyclists everywhere. I'm Dave Hatch, and this week we're kicking off our show with a road test of the latest big displacement adventure machine from the folks who wrote the book on adventure touring, BMW Motorrad. Behold BMW Motorrad's newest R1200 GS, poster child for all things adventure touring. It also happens to be the best-selling motorcycle in Europe and has enjoyed the benefit of some 3 decades of refinement. At the heart of this go-anywhere, do-anything puppy is the very latest twin-cam, air and water-cooled, horizontally opposed, twin-cylinder power plant, mated via a wet clutch to a 6-speed transmission and shaft final drive. The new engine also sports an optional selectable riding mode system that gives you different power delivery curves, while the classic BMW telelever and paralever suspension systems has available dynamic ESA, which allows riders to select 4 different suspension setups with the push of a button. Remember when you needed a screwdriver to do that? Meanwhile, in the braking department, the ABS system can now be disabled with, well, you guessed it, the push of a button. So how does all this technology and refinement stack up against the rest of the adventure sport pack? Well, here now is veteran enduro rider and national enduro champion, Kevin Burnett. So Kevin, we're all familiar and we know very well the old air-cooled GS. This is the new liquid-cooled GS. What was your first impression when you saw it this morning?
Was how neat and tidy they've managed to make it. They've gotten rid of all these loose items that were hanging out in the breeze before, and they've tucked them away nicely. Even before you notice that it's actually liquid, you notice they've tidied it up.
So let's talk about that power plant. The big thing I noticed going into the new liquid-cooled motor, it doesn't feel like it has a flywheel. It just spins up so fast.
It's quick. I've had a chance to ride the air-cooled 1200s and this. Man, does this ever spool up fast.
Yeah.
It's agile and it's aggressive if you need it to be. Mm-hmm. It's good in a broad range of circumstances. I've been crawling around on wet grass with it and it did just fine. It didn't try and jump, right?
Yeah.
And then if you want to really wick it up on the road, it leaves. It's very, very impressive.
How did you find the clutch and the shifting?
Clutch is great. The shifting, I found that it still has that characteristic clunk to it.
Yep.
But it's good and solid. You know you're in the gear for sure.
BMW, they were obviously one of the first guys on the scene with ABS brakes. What do you think of the braking system now?
I haven't found any fault in this braking at all. You've got all the different modes, and no matter which one you're in on pavement, you will stop on a dime guaranteed. Works really well.
Now you talked about the modes. We've got so many options to choose from now. We've got mapping, we've got suspension. What did you think of that? Did you play around a little bit with that?
I've been playing with it. So we've got different riding modes. You've got some customizing of your own that you can do for suspension setup, whether you've got a passenger, whether you've got passenger and luggage. You can choose whether you want the ABS on or off on the fly.
Right.
And the same thing with your traction control on the fly. And it all works seamless. Very good.
What's the riding experience?
Well, when I first picked it up, the seat was set for someone that's not 6'4". So I couldn't even get out of the parking lot. So I stopped, put the seat in its upper positions, and everything just fell into place, and it felt really natural from then on. For 6'4", I'm imagining that's probably the upper range of their setup. It works fine.
What did you think of the luggage system? There's not a big change there.
Well, they appear to be the same, but they are different. It's still the expandable luggage. They expand quickly, right? They come off quickly, and it leaves no framework behind, right? You normally have to pay extra to get that sort of rigging.
So what do you think of the overall fit, finish, riding experience, just overall the paint? What do you think?
Fit and finish is excellent. Even on rough roads, I'm not hearing a lot of squeaking and rattling going on. It's probably only the windshield that's actually making any noise. The rest of it's solid. And if you don't like the way it's going over those bumps, you adjust your suspension to soft or hard, and it's instant. And you can feel the difference every time.
So who is this bike going to appeal to, and who is it going to satisfy?
Anybody who wants to be ready for a broad range of weather conditions, this is quite the tool to do the job. It's very adjustable, and it will adapt to many, many situations. It's a good overall machine.
Put a smile on your face?
Oh yeah, still does. Yeah,
Still does. And it wheelies too.
it does.
Nice job.
Hang in there, we've got plenty more experience still ahead. Next, Norm and I ride into Sundance, Wyoming, while our world-famous airbrush artist gets some audience feedback. Stay with us. Portions of Motorcycle Experience are brought to you in part by Harley-Davidson, BMW Motorrad, and Triumph Motorcycles. Closed captioning of this program is brought to you by Honda Canada.
Welcome back as Motovan presents The Experience. I'm Dave Hatch, and it's time now to look in on the progress of our very special 25th anniversary Honda Goldwing F6B. But before we do that, let's catch up with Norm Wells and this week's Ultimate Ride. Today, we have a date with the devil.
For this year's two-wheeled getaway, Norm Wells and myself have been exploring South Dakota. Our base of operation for this trip has been the outlaw town of Deadwood. Today, despite a government shutdown during our journey that resulted in the closure of all national monuments, Norm and I have decided to cross over the state line to explore Crook County, Wyoming, and the roads that surround the USA's first national monument, established back in 1906 by Roosevelt, the Devil's Tower.
Well, Norm, we're in Wyoming. We must be in Wyoming because we just saw a cattle drive on the way up here.
A pleasant surprise.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
But here we are at the Devil's Tower, and it's just behind us here. And I have to say that I know yesterday we were kind of joking around saying this was the monumental disappointment tour. We got to Mount Rushmore and it was closed. And word on the street, same thing up ahead, right? We're pretty certain it's going to be closed.
It's an inconvenient time for the government to have gone broke is on this trip.
But we still have a great view from here, and we had a great road riding up here.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, we had, in an hour and a half, we had the Spearfish Canyon ride, then onto the Highway 90 ride, which had all the beautiful rock formations on the side, and then we came off at Sundance and got into this brown prairie rolling kind of very meandering road, and then back into the foresty stuff. So four different types of riding in an hour and a half.
Yeah, and the road itself was in great condition. It was just a beautiful undulating ribbon the whole way, no traffic. And this is the time to be down here. I can't imagine when it's full-on summer tourism time.
No, there were some areas that we went to over the last few days now that if it would have been busy with tourists, wouldn't have been as much fun for sure.
Now, I know the Devil's Tower was actually the first national monument to be dedicated in the USA, but do you know anything about how that was formed?
There's a few theories on that, and the most popular one is that it's a volcanic creation, and that about 40 million years ago is when they think it was actually created, that as the volcano was erupting, the magma and lava would be cooling too quickly, and then it was kind of just forcing itself up through the center of the volcano crater. So there it is.
Well, it is spectacular, and it's certainly worth the ride. And so far, it's been a great ride, but we've got the whole afternoon ahead of us. Where are we heading from here?
Well, we're going to continue on this road now and head towards Belforce. which is Beautiful Forks in English. But I'm anticipating similar type of riding now this afternoon. I'm looking over here to the other side of us here, and I can see a little bit of more of a canyon, so maybe be coming into a little bit of that. But ultimately make our way there and see how much time we have in the afternoon, and maybe just do some offshoots if we have some time for that.
Perfect. Well, Devil's Tower, Wyoming, big sky, rolling hills, and here comes another part of that cattle drive. This is excellent.
It's actually across the road, so we're okay on this side.
Awesome. It's been an ultimate ride. Be sure to tune in next week and follow along as we continue to explore Sundance, Wyoming. Meanwhile, let's catch up with David Arrigo and our special 25th anniversary Goldwing F6B. This week, Dave's getting some feedback from viewers like you.
To mark our 25th anniversary, earlier this season we approached a super talented airbrush artist named David Arrigo and asked him to create for us a very special coast-to-coast Honda Goldwing F6B. David is famous for painting a ton of goalie masks for NHL netminders, and this would be his first motorcycle project. He was extremely excited to be involved and even offered to complete the task in front of a live audience at this year's Toronto Motorcycle Show. Here's what some of the showgoers had to say about David's work as he wrapped up day 2 in our booth.
So here we are. It's the end of day 2. People are still milling around, enjoying the booths. I'm just finishing up the trunk casing for the F6B. This part here celebrates Honda's involvement in planting a tree every time that they sell a car, which I think is fascinating and an awesome thing to do. It's been a long day again. Today was really busy. A lot of people coming through and asking questions. Really enjoyed meeting, I couldn't even tell you how many people we met today, and it was just really cool. Had all positive feedback with all the pieces. Everyone's really enjoying it. And it's almost like becoming a mini museum walk route down here. People are just stopping by, saying hi, and it's a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun today.
The process that he must go through to come up with the drawings and the theme that he's got between the two pieces, East Coast to West Coast Canada, is beautiful, and the artistry is amazing.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning, and what a memory for a trip. You know, having done the East Coast trip, to have something like that on your bike, totally amazing. I'd be terrified to drop my bike now, but it's absolutely stunning.
It's beautiful. I happen to have a couple black Harley Davidsons, and trying to figure out what to do, and something like this looks very appealing to me.
It's quite extraordinary to have that skill, that passion, which he obviously does. I envy. That truly is the open road.
Well, it's been great being here at the show. A lot of people have been approaching me and looking forward to doing other programs and activations with me. Of course, it's been mainly motorcycles, but I've had a lot of people coming up and asking in regards to helmets. I actually had one person with a guitar question. Yeah, it's been awesome. It looks like it's going to be very cool for me. No matter what, at this point, tomorrow when I come back in, I'll probably do a few more touches, to the piece. For the most part, I'm definitely satisfied. I can see where I'm going to probably add in a few more things. I've just got to think about it tonight when I get a little bit of a breathing space, and then look back, come back tomorrow fresh, and really hammer it out then.
Now keep your revs up because there's still plenty more experience around the bend. Next, we look in on Project Lightning Bolt and get a lesson in riding over sand and gravel.
Welcome back as Motovan presents The Experience. I'm Dave Hatch, and it's time now to catch up with our in-house riding instructor, Clinton Smout. This week, we're discussing what is virtually every motorcyclist's worst nightmare: riding on sand and gravel.
But before we do that, let's catch up with Rob Egan, owner of Brooklyn Cycle Racing, and check out the progress on this season's Project Lightning Bolt.
So Rob, the thing that constantly blows my mind when you get into a project like this is as soon as you change one thing, you realize, now I've got to change something else.
Exactly.
So last week, you showed us how you modified this R1 tail section to fit, which looks great. But then I started to think, okay, you're in a racer's crouch now, you know, classic sport bike position. Where are the foot pegs? We're not expected to put our feet here.
Yeah, these aren't going to work out.
No.
And this particular piece here is quite heavy, holds the side stand, safety switch, the shifter, and your foot peg, so it's a big bulky piece. So
yeah,
we've opted to, and we have to move the foot pegs back and up just to give us some ground clearance and give us a proper riding position. So what we did is we took just a slug here, we made up, tapped the end of it, and we're able to weld it right to the frame, just below the swing arm pivot, which is a nice spot for it. And this time we've used some R6 pieces, which actually bolt on quite nicely. As you can see on the other side there.
Oh, you've got one mounted up?
Yeah.
Ah, very nice.
Yeah, so that worked out real well, and the seating position's right, the foot peg position's right. This was going to carry our master cylinder for our rear brake, the same on the other side. We have to modify it a bit to make the shifter work, but this is what we got rid of.
Whoa, oh my goodness, you're right. This is so heavy.
That's a big, bulky piece, and again, it's a cruiser, and it's a cruiser part, so that's, you know, you want to, the reason they're heavy is eliminate vibration, make them nice and comfortable, and you have to have all that. So
this originally bolted right here.
Exactly.
Will you do anything about these holes now in the frame?
Well, we're going to leave that right now because, again, we still have to have an exhaust system. So we might utilize bits and pieces of that for mounting and so on. So
okay. Is there a plan for the exhaust now?
We kind of sketched up. This is our little preliminary sketch that we started off with. Sort of the kind of the flow we were looking for initially, and it's going to come out here. Our plan is to go forward, as you can see in our little picture. It's going to come back here. It'll join with the front cylinder and come back here, and hopefully we'll be able to get a nice little fat muffler in there that fits between our foot peg and the frame, which will look good, and again has to be functional and has to work. So that's the whole idea of this project. Everything has to work, so that's a project for our friend Mr. Hindle.
So Hindle Exhaust will fabricate something to fit.
Exactly.
A work in progress.
A work in progress.
Looks great.
Well, Project Lightning Bolt really is coming together, but keep in mind we're pretty much down to the wire now, as he has to get everything ready to send out to the paint shop. In the meantime, let's catch up with our old friend Clinton Smout, Chief Instructor of the SMART programs. This week he wants to help you get over your fear of sand and gravel.
Clinton, this week we want to talk about sand and gravel, perhaps at a construction zone, or you've ridden up to your friend's cottage and they have a gravel road or a sandy driveway. And I find a lot of motorcyclists are very, nervous about sand and gravel.
Justifiable, because they go in there with their experience from pavement, you're going to have troubles.
Right.
You can't use the front brake as aggressively. You can't corner as fast. So what we recommend people do is not what's instinctive. What most people do, they hit the construction zone, there's 30 feet of gravel and the pavement drops off. They immediately chop the throttle.
Right.
So now all the weight transfer, you might as well get off and dig a hole with a shovel. The front tire's now burrowing in that terrain.
Right.
So what we say is drop a gear, your speed comes down, but it's a crisp throttle response.
Right.
Then slightly accelerate, which is opposite of chopping. This stands the suspension up, so now I'm going to skim across the top.
Like a boat.
Exactly the same. When you're on the power, the nose of the boat, the bow is out of the water, it steers better. Coupled with not chopping the throttle is have a very tight lower body, knees into the tank, boots into the pegs, but a really loose upper body. You should be able to flap your arms.
Okay.
So with a loose grip, I'm going to allow that front end in the loose, soft terrain to float left and right. It's only moving this far. It's not going to go off the road.
Right.
But that's hard to do if you're not used to it.
So get into that sweet spot in the power band, let the front end float a little bit and just look where you want to go.
Exactly.
That's not the case though when you're in a corner and you come across gravel, right?
You have to go through at a slower speed, drop it down a gear, and think of, I can't grab my front brake as hard as I would on good pavement.
Right.
Because the front end's, I'm riding on marbles here.
Perfect. Great advice for sand and gravel. Super.
Alrighty then, now that we've got you all fired up, stay tuned because next it's time to go shopping for a new skid lid. Portions of Motorcycle Experience are brought to you in part by Harley Davidson, BMW Motorrad, and Triumph Motorcycles. Welcome back as Motovan presents The Experience. I'm Dave Hatch, and let's wrap up the show now with the Chief Riding Instructor at Georgian College in Barrie, Ontario. This week, Jennifer Martin wants to make sure you're ready to hit the road by not only maintaining your motorcycle, but by getting touchy-feely with your helmet.
You know, Jen, this month is actually Helmet Month, and what a great time to talk about helmet choice, selection, care. Gone are the days of the old, oil catcher hanging off the side of the motorcycle. Fitment, right? It's all about fitment. Make sure it fits right.
Yeah, you do. You want to make sure that whatever helmet you choose to buy fits you properly, and different manufacturers fit different ways. So you might be a medium in one, it might not necessarily fit you the proper way.
Right.
So you want to check the fit, and you want to go into the store. Your dealer, they might be able to size you, try on different helmets. I mean, it's not looking like a geek walking around the store putting on the helmet and making sure that it fits, that you don't get any pressure points and things like that. You want to make sure it's a nice snug fit.
You don't want it too loose either. You don't want it sort of flopping around on your head.
No.
You don't want a helmet headache, that's for sure.
That's correct.
Once you buy the helmet, Harley's great. They've got actually a point in the helmet where you can write the date down.
I know.
And if you don't have that, you can put tape or something inside with the date. The reason for that is so important because
you want to make sure that you switch your helmets out. At least, I mean, they say 5 years, every 5 years, but it also depends on where. Like if you're doing a lot of riding, each and every time you take that helmet off and put it back on,
right.
You are wearing away that nice compression. So
right. So and also after 5 years, maybe something might happen before the 5 years are up, and that is if you drop a helmet,
one impact only. And after that impact, if it hits the ground, I wouldn't rely upon it. That's a nice heavy paperweight now.
Yeah. So toss it out if you drop it. Sadly, there are so many choices now. Helmets now have built-in visors. They have built-in sunglasses, if you will, so you can make it really easy to travel on the road. 3/4 helmet like this one, conspicuity, ventilation. Things have come so far. And this, I know this was your favorite.
Yeah.
You were playing with this before we started rolling.
Full face, full coverage helmet, but this one's a modular helmet. So you just snap it open. So this is great when you stop for gas.
Yeah.
And flip it up. Take a sip of water, my famous water, or a snack or something like that. But then just it cools down, and then it's great with people with glasses as well, because you can put the helmet on and then pull the visor, the full face piece down.
And should you, for some reason, have to stop with a law enforcement agent to talk about where you're going, you can also just flip it up so that you can have a nice conversation.
Yeah, a great conversation.
Awesome. Some great advice on helmets and helmet care in Helmet Month. Awesome.
Great.
Well, that's it for this week's program, folks. We're all out of time, but if you're looking for more experience, be sure to pay a visit to our website, motorcycleexperience.ca. Join the Riders Club and enter our new open season contest. So till next week, keep your feet on the pegs and your right hand cranked. Bye for now.
Closed captioning of this program was brought to you by Honda Canada.
My name's Rob Harris. I'm with the CanadaMotorGuide.com, and I'm here to say congratulations to Dave Hatch and Motorcycle Experience for 25 years of TV and motorcycles in Canada. Well done, Dave. We go back so far.